He shaped the sound of a generation, yet never stood at its center. While others took the spotlight, he quietly built the soul of the music behind studio glass. From silent rooms to the roar of world stages, Benny Andersson lived through the rise, the unraveling, and the rebirth of one of pop's most iconic bands. But the story he's telling now isn't about disco balls or sequins, it's about exhaustion, regret, fractured love, and the painful silence that followed the applause. After decades of speculation, Benny has finally spoken, and his truth is deeper, sadder, and far more revealing than anyone expected. Long before the world danced to Dancing Queen or wept to The Winner Takes It All, Benny Andersson was already shaping the foundation of one of pop music's most enduring legacies. Born on December 16, 1946, in Stockholm's Vasa district, Benny grew up in a working-class family where music was a tradition rather than a career path. His father, a civil engineer, and his grandfather, a self-taught musician, put an accordion in his hands when he was just 6 years old. That simple instrument opened a lifelong fascination with melody and harmony. Benny never chased the spotlight. Instead, he immersed himself in the structure of music, teaching himself piano by ear, replicating melodies after hearing them only once or twice. By the age of 10, he was performing at family gatherings and school concerts not for showmanship, but for his sensitivity to tone and emotion. In 1964, at just 18, Benny joined the Hep Stars, a Swedish rock band often dubbed the Swedish Beatles. His arrival matured their sound almost overnight, leading to chart-topping hits like Sunny, Girl, and Wedding. These successes not only showcased his melodic talent, but also sharpened his skills in studio arrangement and live performance. A pivotal night in 1966 changed everything. At a friend's party, Benny met Björn Ulvaeus of the folk pop group The Hootenanny Singers. They shared a love for harmony, arrangement, and detail. That night's jam session began a partnership that would span decades. Benny, the emotional composer, and Björn, the witty lyricist, complemented each other perfectly. In the early 1970s, their creative and romantic lives intertwined with two other musicians, Agnetha Foltskog, a Swedish solo star, and Annie Frid Lyngsted, a jazz-turned-pop singer with a powerful alto. Under the unwieldy name Björn and Benny, Agnetha and Annie Frid, they first attempted the Eurovision Song Contest in 1973 and failed. But in 1974, they returned with Waterloo, a glam pop anthem that not only won Eurovision but catapulted them to global fame. Soon after, they shortened their name to ABBA using the initials of their first names. From then on, Benny became the band's sonic architect, layering instruments, arranging harmonies with meticulous care, and experimenting with synthesizers long before they were fashionable. He wasn't chasing what was popular, he was crafting what would last. His signature was a blend of brightness and depth, a Swedish melancholy hidden beneath irresistible melodies. Through the 1970s, ABBA's success seemed unstoppable, but behind the glittering facade, cracks began to form. The first major fracture came in 1979 when Björn and Agnetha divorced. The group carried on professionally, but the tone in the studio began to shift. 2 years later, Benny and Annie Frid's marriage ended as well. Their relationship had been fiery and deeply creative, but Benny's perfectionism left little space for emotional connection at home. Annie Frid, longing for warmth and spontaneity, felt his growing absence. By 1981, Benny had fallen in love with television producer Monin Turklet, a truth he shared with Annie Frid. The split was quiet and professional, but it left deep scars in the band's dynamic. Their final studio album, The Visitors, released that same year, carried a new emotional frost. Songs like When All Is Said and Done and Slipping Through My Fingers reflected unspoken pain. The sparkle was dimming, and though ABBA continued for another year, something vital had already disappeared. When ABBA stopped, it wasn't with a farewell tour or dramatic press conference. Their last single, Under Attack, came out in December 1982, and then nothing. No grand finale, just a quiet fade into history. For decades, fans speculated, Was it money, creative disputes, or personal turmoil? The band remained vague, their rare interviews polite but evasive. ABBA became frozen in time, a perfect pop group that simply ceased to exist. That changed in November 2024, when Benny sat down for an interview with The Guardian. Without pure Polish or rehearsed answers, he spoke plainly. We were exhausted. Marriages were falling apart. The music was starting to sound unnatural. We needed to stop to preserve ourselves. The breakup wasn't about scandal, it was about emotional depletion. In April 2025, Benny expanded on this in Billboard. The final 2 years, he said, had felt like routine rather than passion. The songs came slowly, the sessions grew shorter, and the joy had drained away. They couldn't go on pretending, not to the fans and not to each other. His honesty validated what listeners had always felt in those last albums, a heaviness, a melancholy beneath the polish. The ache was real. After ABBA's dissolution, Annifrid Lyngstad took an unexpected path, marrying Prince Heinrich Ruse of Plauen in 1992 and becoming a member of European royalty. The Swedish press was fascinated, but royal life proved far from a fairy tale. In 1998, tragedy struck when her daughter, Liselott, died in a car accident at just 30 years old. Retreating to her home near Lake Geneva, Annifrid grieved. In seclusion, during this period, Benny quietly reached out. They shared a history no one else could understand, and in that connection, there was comfort. In 2018, ABBA shocked the world by reuniting to record 2 new songs, leading to the groundbreaking ABBA Voyage project. By 2021, Benny and Björn had completed a full studio album, and Benny oversaw every detail of a revolutionary digital concert experience in London. Using motion capture and advanced avatar technology, the band's younger selves performed alongside a live 10-piece band. The show became a phenomenon, selling over 1.3 million tickets by 2022. Remarkably, ABBA turned down a $1 billion live tour offer, choosing instead to redefine performance on their own terms. Now at 78, Benny Andersson is peeling back decades of emotional reserve. He admits music was his escape, that he gave his most heartfelt lines to songs, not to the people who needed to hear them. His fear of confronting raw emotion, he now believes, is what quietly unraveled the band. There was no betrayal, just fragility, the human softness fame never prepared them for, and yet there's beauty in his honesty. By speaking now, Benny offers the closure ABBA never gave during their first farewell. The songs that defined them weren't polished fantasies, they were survival. They endure because they were real, messy, and born from for people trying to hold themselves together. After all these years, the quiet man at the piano has finally let the world in.